Welcome friends. And this week we're in the studio. I want to talk about Lightroom and my workflow after a photo shoot. Now it's been a while since I've actually been out, so I finally forced myself to get out of bed and get out and just go down to the shoreline and just enjoy a shoot. Well, it turned out it was so dense and so foggy. You would think by now, as landscape photographers, we would stop anticipating and just go with what nature gives us. The fog was so dense that I really couldn't even see that far in the distance. As photographers, we all love atmospheric conditions, and it was certainly atmospheric. So I made some images on this morning. I just want to go through my workflow and then go over some composition, work on some photos, and some of the surprises that I walked away with that I didn't think I was too confident with at the time. Let's get into it and let's take a look at some of these images and go through this workflow and just have a little fun with this. Now, it was so dense on this morning that if you can slightly see a horizontal line right here, that is the other side of this inlet. I mean, you can barely see it. I decided to give these a shot and see if I can really make a minimalistic image. Now, I made a few versions of these. Let's just select these. This one is processed. These are not. And here I have the shadow going out of the frame. I just like this floating look much better. I have a shadow coming down from here. I mean, this is very, very minimalistic. And maybe this type of image would appeal more to, say a fisherman or a boater or something where they can really relate to this on a foggy morning and they really can't have the opportunity to see 20 feet in front of them. And something like this might be something they might want to hang on their wall. But yeah, I don't do a lot of minimalistic imagery, and so I did have fun with this in the end. So let's just take a look at these right here. I don't know what I was thinking here. This just doesn't do anything for me. The shapes, nothing really worked. I'm going to give that an X right now. Down here, so I flagged that as a reject. And this image as well. X that, because that is crap. And one last shot. I tried a vertical. Give it a little bit more space on both sides and just kind of crop in a little. But again, I was not happy with that. So I'm going to reject all three of them. Go back to G for guide. And as you can see, in fact, let's just do this. I'm not going to use these at all. So we're going to remove them right now. All right, delete from disk. Verify, permanently delete. All right. So, moving on. What the hell was I thinking? The rocks were calling me in. There's some really nice patterns, but this is just doing nothing for me. So, incidentally, on the way out of the park, this rock pattern right here really started calling out to me. It's the middle of winter here. And this grass is beat, and the eye just gets drawn into this, and it just looks muddy, and it's kind of messy. And I just thought that the colors here were distracting. So I did think black and white. I don't do a lot of black and white work because I struggle with it a lot. But in this case, this worked out well for black and white. But I just felt that these branches right here were really distracting, and I tried everything. I tried getting down low, I went to the left, and I moved over to the right. Even when I got down low, I compressed it, and it just didn't have that shape anymore. So in the end, this is basically what I came up with, and I thought to myself, the whole scene already has a eerie feel to it, a busy feel. Maybe this isn't too bad. I don't know. I don't think it's going to make the cut. This actually worked out well, and I would say this was one of my favorite images of the morning. I cropped enough of the image so that there is still some light here at the edge of the frame, but quite often we may look at an image and sort of work our way into it. So your eye may lead to here, but these textures and these lines leading right up to this beautiful, look at this. So this leads right up to the shack. We got some beautiful reflections. It's still moody. It's, it's really foggy, but it adds some mystery to it. And it's kind of nice because there are a bunch of houses back here. So whenever you come down to this location, you're often trying to hide the houses or find a way that you can keep them at a minimal. In a case like this, that just solves all these problems. One of my best shots of the morning was probably one of the last shots I took. I just love how there's so much mystery in here. There's a nice use of negative space with this reflection and this idea of this just floating. What drew me into this scene was this is midwinter, and the marina is empty. All these slips are empty with the exception of maybe 3 boats. Now the only downfall to this was that from where I was standing on the bridge and walking, I could not get a better reference point. I do like the angle, but I could not get rid of the sun's reflection here. So the sun is right up here, and the reflection is right here. So the amber colors off the water from the sun penetrating through the fog. But this is a little distracting, but that's the only negative here. Aside from that, I really find myself getting drawn into this image. If I want, I can push some contrast or clarity in this. So let's try some clarity. So if I were to push, yeah, see that we can still, I mean, look at this. That's cranking. That's too much, but that is cranking the clarity. And we still have that atmospheric. Yeah, let's try something like that. We still have that atmospheric feel here. We haven't lost it, and we brought out our, our pylons more and our boat here with the reflection. Very, very nice. So this is probably my best image of the morning, I'd have to say. So 3 different takes on a scene. The idea I had in mind was all these empty slips. I wanted that to be part of this story. But normally with an image like this, with these lines, the boat is almost going, it's pointing you out of the frame. But these angles work so well. You can see these 2 images are different angles. These sort of point to the empty slips and then what lies out to sea. And then this one really brings you, out into, what may lie out here. When you're working on your images, a great idea is to use the crop tool feature with all these overlays. Now if you use the O on your keyboard and you just keep hitting the letter O, you can cycle through all the different overlays, thirds, and these triangles and different shapes and what have you. And the golden ratio, if you hold down the shift key and then toggle your 0, you can place that that golden ratio anywhere you want on this frame, which is kind of nice. And so as you can see, if we look right in here, it works out pretty well in this image, right? Because this is where the eye is going to be drawn in, right? This is a big anchor right here. This kind of brings you right into this boat and then kind of brings you right up. Oh, there's almost an S curve here that keeps you in the frame here, and which is the reason why I chose this, because this works so well right here. This play on these 2 boats, even though they're sort of pointing out of the frame, there's still enough information to show empty slips, all this area over here, and we have some anchors with these verticals. But if I shift my golden ratio, all right, we'll see. I mean, it anchors this motor going into this boat, right? And it also brings you over and anchors this boat right here. Now, if we use other overlays, we can also see other similarities. So in the case of using thirds, you can see how, this sort of complements this photograph pretty well with anchoring the supporting element, the supporting boat, as well as anchoring, the foreground boat, the subject itself. And in fact, if we go and use so we use something like this. Again, you can kind of see the similarities, how these are playing off on each other. I had a lot of fun with this. This was a fun scene, and I love just the pepper of colors on such a drabby morning. So this worked out pretty nice. We got these reds and greens, these complementary colors here. We got the oranges, and I mean, there's not a lot of blue in here, but there's some turquoise here, there's some blue here that plays off the orange, and yeah, this is a fun image. By the way, if you're following along and you don't have a workflow where you compare your images like this, first off, I highly recommend it. So for example, if I just choose 2 of these, like these 2 right here, and I hit C, I'll bring up the 2 comparisons, right? And by the way, the tab key will hide your 2 side panels. Tab, just keep cycling tab. If I go back to G for guide, but if I choose N for survey, now you can bring up all 3. So this scene right here, again, this is just one of these fun scenes. Like, I just really like this image. And I mean, just look at this. It's just so cool. Just having that just in the frame with all these colors. It's just a real fun image to play with. And we have all this color going on up here in such a foggy, misty morning. Very, very fun shot. And this is just a lot of fun stuff when it's a surprise. Well, that wraps it up. Have a good week. Get out there and shoot. Leave any comments in the section below. Let me know what you think, if you've been out, if your workflow was similar to this. All right, folks, be well. Catch you in the next one.